Humanity built a tower so massive that it reached from Earth all the way into space, and the person sent to maintain it discovered a secret that could destroy the entire planet. For years, humans had been searching for signs of alien life. To reach deeper into space, they created a gigantic structure stretching more than 1,000 kilometers above Earth. It was the tallest creation in human history. Every day, astronauts climbed through this impossible structure, repairing systems and searching for any clue that could prove humans were not alone in the universe. But they never expected that this giant gateway to space would become the beginning of humanity's biggest disaster. One normal day, while astronauts were working outside the station, a mysterious flash suddenly appeared in the darkness of space. Before anyone could understand what happened, the entire space station was hit by a massive explosion. The force was so powerful that astronauts were thrown away into the endless darkness below. One astronaut refused to give up. Knowing that the entire station could collapse, he rushed toward the emergency power system and tried to shut everything down. He pulled the switch with all his strength, but it was already too late. The explosion had started a chain reaction. The astronaut was thrown away from the station and began falling toward Earth. At that moment, he was hundreds of thousands of meters above the planet. A fall from that height meant certain death. His body started spinning uncontrollably in the thin atmosphere. He struggled to breathe. His vision began fading, and he could feel his consciousness disappearing. But just before losing consciousness, he managed to activate his emergency landing system. Slowly, his body stabilized. Against all odds, he survived. He became the only astronaut who escaped the disaster. But what everyone thought was a simple space accident was actually something far more terrifying. The explosion was not caused by a technical failure. It was caused by a mysterious cosmic radiation coming from deep space. And this radiation was not only destroying space stations, it was starting to threaten every city on Earth. But the real mystery was only beginning. Scientists quickly tracked the source of the radiation. The signal was coming from a place no human had ever reached before: Neptune, a planet billions of kilometers away from Earth. Then the military revealed a secret that completely changed the astronaut's life. Decades ago, humanity had sent a mission to explore the edge of the solar system, but after a few years, the crew disappeared. No communication, no signals, no survivors found. The mission commander was believed to be dead, but that commander was not a stranger. He was the astronaut's own father. Now, the government believed he might still be alive near Neptune, and somehow, his spacecraft was connected to the deadly radiation attacking Earth. Nobody knew why he was doing it. Nobody knew what happened during those lost years. The only person who could uncover the truth was his own son. But reaching Neptune would be the most dangerous journey in human history. To reach Neptune, he first had to travel through the human colonies spread across the solar system. His first stop was the moon. After landing there, he was surprised to see how much humanity had changed it. The moon was no longer just a scientific base. It had become a huge tourist destination filled with advanced buildings and technology. But behind this beautiful image was a dangerous reality. The moon had no laws strong enough to protect everyone. While traveling toward the rocket base, his team was suddenly attacked by space raiders. These criminals survived by stealing valuable resources from different countries and attacking anyone who crossed their path. A battle immediately started, but fighting on the moon was completely different from Earth. There was no air, no sound. The explosions were silent. The only thing people could see was the bright flash of weapons and the dust rising from the surface. The astronauts' vehicles were destroyed one after another. The attackers kept getting closer. A bullet even damaged his spacesuit, causing his oxygen level to slowly drop. He knew that if he stayed there any longer, he would never reach his father. So he made a desperate decision. He pushed the damaged vehicle to its limit and rushed toward the base. But the enemy was not ready to let him escape. A powerful impact sent his vehicle crashing into a deep crater on the moon's surface. For a moment, everything seemed hopeless. But the moon base finally detected his location. Within seconds, they launched missiles toward the attackers and eliminated the threat. The astronaut was saved. But not everyone was lucky. An older officer who was traveling with him suffered deadly injuries. Before dying, the old man revealed a shocking secret. He told him that the government was never truly trying to save his father. They were only using him to find his location. Once his father was found, they planned to eliminate both of them because his father was considered a threat to humanity. The old man's final warning was simple: trust no one. Those words stayed in his mind. Now, this mission was no longer just about saving Earth. It was about discovering the truth behind his father's disappearance. But the journey ahead was even more dangerous than he imagined. After leaving the moon, he boarded a spacecraft heading toward Mars. Mars was the farthest human outpost in the solar system. The journey would take weeks. During the trip, he watched a secret recording left by his father. In the video, his father looked completely different. He was exhausted, confused, almost like a man who had been fighting a battle alone for years. In his final message, he turned off all communication systems. After that moment, he disappeared completely. For 13 years, nobody heard from him again. The astronaut couldn't understand why his father would abandon Earth. Then suddenly, their spacecraft received a distress signal. Someone nearby was calling for help. The astronaut wanted to continue the mission. He believed they could not waste time, but the captain refused to ignore a possible survivor. However, the ship changed direction and moved toward the mysterious signal. Soon, they discovered an abandoned spacecraft floating in space. No one answered their calls, but the signal was still active. The captain put on his spacesuit and entered the unknown ship. The astronaut followed him. They had no idea that opening that door would become one of the biggest mistakes of their lives. Inside the massive spacecraft, they discovered something terrifying. There were no survivors. The ship was completely empty, but the walls were covered with strange marks, deep scratches, signs of violence, and traces of something that clearly was not human. As they explored deeper, they discovered the truth. This was not a normal spacecraft. It was a secret biological research station. Scientists had been experimenting with unknown creatures, and something had gone terribly wrong. The astronaut suddenly lost contact with the captain. He rushed back to find him, but what he saw shocked him. The captain was standing motionless. His body was shaking. Then a mutated creature suddenly attacked. The astronaut fought back with everything he had. After a dangerous struggle, he managed to stop the creature, but when he checked the captain, it was already too late. The captain was badly injured and could not survive. With no other choice, he escaped the station. Before leaving, he opened the airlock and released the remaining creatures into space, ending the threat forever. But another life had been lost. He gave the captain a final goodbye in the emptiness of space. Now he was completely alone. One man, one mission, and an impossible journey ahead. Because the closer he got to Neptune, the closer he came to the darkest secret in human history. After losing the captain, he continued his journey toward Mars. But the closer he got to his destination, the more questions filled his mind. Why did his father disappear? Why were those mysterious signals coming from Neptune? And why was the government so desperate to find him? Finally, after a long journey, he reached the Mars space station. But before he could rest, he was given another mission. The scientists asked him to send a prepared message toward Neptune and contact his missing father. He entered the communication room and started the transmission. For several seconds, there was only silence, no response, just like the last 13 years. Deep inside, he already knew the truth. Maybe his father was really gone. Maybe all this hope was meaningless. But then something unexpected happened. He stopped reading the official message. Instead, he spoke from his heart. He talked about his childhood, about the moments he spent with his father, about how much he missed him, about how he only wanted one chance to hear his voice again. Everyone in the room stayed silent. Then, suddenly, a voice came through the speaker, a weak and old voice, but he recognized it immediately. It was his father. After 13 years, his father had finally answered. Before he could ask anything, the officials quickly ended the communication. They ordered him to leave. He demanded to know what his father had said, but nobody gave him an answer. Soon, he discovered the truth. The government had already located his father's exact position near Neptune, and they were preparing another mission. But this mission was not to rescue him. Their orders were clear. Find him, and if necessary, kill him. The astronaut was completely broken. He realized that he had been used from the beginning. The government never cared about saving his father. They only needed him to locate him. But someone else was about to help him uncover the truth. A senior officer from the Mars station came to meet him secretly. She revealed that her own parents were also part of the missing mission. For 13 years, she had no idea whether they were alive or dead. She refused to let the government destroy the truth. Using her highest authority, she helped him reach the launch area. A spacecraft was already preparing to leave for Neptune. The astronaut managed to enter the ship moments before launch, but the crew members immediately stopped him. They were not there to save his father. They were sent to eliminate him. They pointed their weapons at him and ordered him to leave. He tried to explain everything. He told them he also wanted to stop his father from harming Earth, but nobody trusted him. The argument became more intense. Then suddenly, the spacecraft launched. The astronauts inside were caught off guard. Some of them had not even secured themselves properly. A powerful movement threw them across the cabin. One crew member panicked and fired his weapon. The shot missed him, but it hit the spacecraft wall. A huge crack appeared. Oxygen started escaping rapidly. Within moments, the entire cabin became a deadly place. One by one, the astronauts lost consciousness. The captain tried to control the situation, but he could not stop the damage. Soon, everyone was gone. Everyone except him. He looked around the empty spacecraft. All of those people had died because of a misunderstanding. He felt guilty, but there was no way back now. He had only one option: continue toward Neptune, alone. The journey would take years. The endless darkness of space slowly began affecting his mind. There were no voices, no human presence, only silence. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. He started questioning everything. Who was he anymore? Why was he still fighting? Was there really any meaning behind this mission? The loneliness of space was becoming his biggest enemy. Then one day, after traveling through the darkness for countless hours, he saw something in front of him. A giant blue planet, Neptune. The place where everything began. The place where his father disappeared. And the place where the truth was waiting. He prepared his equipment and moved closer. But he had no idea that what he was about to discover would change humanity forever. Because on Neptune, he would finally meet the man who started it all. After years of traveling traveling through the endless darkness of space, he finally reached Neptune. The planet that held the biggest secret in human history was now right in front of him, but there was no time to celebrate. Back on Earth, the mysterious cosmic radiation was still destroying space stations and threatening millions of lives. He knew he had only one chance: find his father, discover the truth, and stop the radiation before it was too late. He activated the automatic navigation system of his spacecraft and entered a small exploration pod. Then he began searching around Neptune's massive rings. Finding one lost spacecraft in such a huge area was almost impossible. Hours passed. Nothing. No signal. No trace. Then suddenly, the same strange radiation appeared again. The energy waves affected his systems, but they also revealed the source: a damaged spacecraft hidden near Neptune. His father's ship. After 13 years, he had finally found it, but the ship was completely damaged. The docking system was destroyed. There was no way to enter safely. He knew the risk. If he failed, he would die millions of kilometers away from Earth. Still, he made the decision. He left his exploration pod behind and moved through space toward the abandoned ship. Slowly, carefully. One mistake would mean death. Finally, he reached the entrance and forced the old door open. The moment he entered, he froze. Inside the ship were the bodies of his missing teammates. They had died years ago. But the most shocking thing was that the ship was still working. The machines were active. The systems were running. And the source of the deadly radiation was still operating. He immediately prepared the nuclear device he had brought with him. His plan was simple: destroy the ship, stop the radiation, save Earth. But before he could enter the final code, someone spoke behind him. A voice he never thought he would hear again. His father. After 13 years, he was still alive, but he was no longer the same man. His hair had turned completely white. His face showed years of loneliness and suffering. The astronaut wanted answers. He asked the question that had haunted him for years. Was it you who sent the radiation toward Earth? His father remained silent for a moment. Then he finally explained everything. The mission was supposed to search for alien life, but years of isolation changed everyone. The crew members started losing hope. Some wanted to return home. They sent distress signals toward Earth. They wanted to escape, but his father refused. He believed their mission was bigger than their own lives. The conflict between the crew members destroyed the spacecraft. Many astronauts died after being trapped without oxygen. Eventually, only his father survived, but the damaged ship kept releasing radiation. No matter what he tried, he could not stop it. Filled with guilt, he cut off all communication with Earth. He disappeared, not because he wanted to hurt humanity, but because he was ashamed. The astronaut finally understood the truth. His father was not a monster. He was just a broken man trapped billions of kilometers away. He told his father they could still leave. They could destroy the ship and return home together. But his father refused. He said his entire life had been about finding another civilization, finding proof that humans were not alone. But after searching the universe, he found nothing. Only silence. Only emptiness. He believed Earth might be the only place where life existed, and that thought destroyed him. The astronaut tried to bring him back. He grabbed his father and connected their safety lines. But suddenly, his father pushed him away. He had already accepted his fate. He removed his connection and slowly drifted into the darkness of space. The astronaut screamed. He tried to reach him, but it was too late. His father disappeared into the endless universe, alone, just like he had lived for all those years. But the mission was not over yet. The nuclear explosion was about to happen, and his own spacecraft was too far away. He needed a miracle. Then he noticed a large metal panel from the damaged ship. He removed it and used it as a shield. At the perfect moment, he jumped. The explosion pushed him forward, but the journey was extremely dangerous. Pieces of debris from Neptune's rings crashed into him again and again. Every hit could kill him, but he refused to give up. After fighting through the impossible, he finally reached his spacecraft. He grabbed the door handle and pulled himself inside. He was alive, but the fuel was almost gone. Returning to Earth was nearly impossible. Before continuing, he recorded one final message. He explained everything: the truth about his father, the lost mission, and the discovery that could change humanity forever. Then the destroyed spacecraft exploded behind him. The force of the explosion pushed his ship toward Earth. Time passed. No one knew if he would survive. Then, one day, a spacecraft appeared above Earth. A return capsule slowly entered the atmosphere. The door opened, and standing outside was his mother. After all these years, he was finally home. He had lost his father. He had lost his friends. But he brought something far more important back with him: the truth, the data from the edge of the solar system, and a message for all humanity. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are not about finding something new. Sometimes they are about understanding what we already have. Because after searching the entire universe, humanity finally learned one thing: Earth was the most precious place they ever had.